Welcome, and thank you for joining us in Season 2 of the Let's Meet the Author show. This is the online show that introduces self-published authors to the world. So let's join in on the conversation with our hosts and guest author.
Hello everyone, thank you for joining us for another episode of Let's Meet the Author. As we have here today, I'm Shira, and here's Miss Tiffany. We're both your guest hosts. Don't worry, Glenn will be back. But as for today, we have the honor, the privilege of having our guest speaker here, Miss Linda Mobley. Now, you have written not one or two, but three amazing books. First one is the one that we're going to be discussing today, titled I Hate My Life. The other is I Lost My Granddaughter, and Don't Stay, It Only Gets Worse. So with all of that, you've also raised three children and have three beautiful grandchildren.
That's correct.
Now, all in all, you have sold almost 10,000 books. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Nice. How does that make you feel?
I'm very grateful, very thankful.
Nice, nice. Now, we want to go ahead and just ask you a couple questions about your book. Just dive in so the readers can get a better understanding.
Okay.
Now, the first thing that caught my eye was you wrote this book in the words of your son.
That's
correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's talk about that. What made you write the book?
Well, I wanted to spare other families from going through the turmoil that we went through, because it was awful. And I never imagined us having a life like that. And my son was very unhappy, and I felt like I was failing as a parent.
And that has to be hard as a parent.
Absolutely, especially when you're trying to have a Christian home and you're trying to do all the right things and make sure everybody's happy.
So you talked a little about their dad.
Yes.
How he wasn't really involved in the kid's life, how he worked a lot, would come home, watch TV, or go to sleep.
Yes.
So it was mainly you that was giving
Yes.
care to the children and everything?
Yes, it was. And I enjoyed being a mom. I really did. I loved being a mom. It was tiring at times because of the long hours, but I still went to job number 2 and take care of my children. I know that happy children are very important, and it does take time and effort, but I was willing to do that.
Okay. May I ask, how did you, meet your husband? How did you come in, how did everything start? It started with you two, so.
Yes, that's a good question. And believe it or not, we met at church.
Oh, okay.
We met at church, and I really tried to avoid him, but he kind of followed me around, but that's where we met. It was at church.
Okay. So you thought, hey, it's a Christian man, everything's gonna work itself out, like God favored me, like we're gonna do this, we're gonna have these wonderful children, live this beautiful life. But then as we read in your book, it seemed like everything turned. Can you explain to us, like, when did it happen? Was it just like, hey, you just woke up one day and...
Good question. I did think that everything was going to be lovely. But it started with his rules and regulations. Be home by a certain time. You can't wear makeup anymore.
Wow.
And the rules became overbearing. And I wasn't used to such stringent rules to have to live by. And that was the beginning of it. The do's and don'ts.
Okay. Now I know everything started somewhere. What was the day that you just woke up and was like, well, who is this man? Like, what led into the trickling down into everything?
Yes, as I stated in the book, it started with a punch to my left eye. Talking about a wake-up call. Oh my gosh, it was awful. It was painful. I couldn't believe he would do that.
Yeah.
And that was the start of the spiral downfall. I was just shocked. I never thought he would do that, or that he was that kind of person.
Okay, so question, most people hear about, hey, those who've never experienced abusive relationships, when it happened, hey, why didn't you, just leave the first time it happened? Why did you stay years in,
Right. I did leave, but he would follow me from work to where I was living.
Wow.
And that didn't work out well. And he said he would do better, give him another chance, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But I didn't stay hoping that this is going to go away. I left several times. Unfortunately, I even went to shelters.
Wow.
I know you talked about that. And going to the shelter, you actually had to leave your children behind, right?
Well, they were with me most of the time. It was difficult there because there was so many women there with their children. But I just wanted some peace. I didn't want any more arguing, fighting. And it broke my heart to have to go there, but I was miserable at home.
Yeah. When did it start transferring over to the children? Because I know at the beginning it spoke about, the abuse that was caused by your husband to you. But when did this abuse start trickling down to the children? Were you
Well, my oldest daughter was not happy with the fact that he would yell at me, that he would choke me. And she started getting involved and trying to help mommy out.
Yeah.
And I wasn't happy about that at all. She's a child, and I didn't want her to get hurt.
Yeah.
The other kids would scream and cry and run. It was devastating for them as well. And I never thought that would happen. And when I realized what was going on, I knew I couldn't live my life like that forever. That's not what I dreamed about. Especially marrying a Christian man, I thought we'd have a very happy home.
Everything beautiful.
Yeah.
And you said that it started to trickle down to your son, and you would see marks on him.
Yes, he would get very angry and punish the children, try to keep them from seeing me, and he would tell them I'm a bad mom and I'm not a good Christian. It was very hard for them. Probably even confusing. Do I believe Dad or not?
Yeah.
But I miss my mom.
Wow. Wow, that's something crazy for children to have to experience, and something that affects them for the rest of their life.
Definitely.
Like, there's so much that I can't wait to get into, but I know right now we have to go ahead and take a quick break, you guys, and we're going to hear some more from Miss Linda Mobley.
Your donations are needed to support the production of the Let's Meet the Author show. We interview talented self-published authors and expose them to the world. Thank you so much for your generous contributions. All donations are tax deductible. And now, back to the Let's Meet the Author show.
Thanks for coming back, guys. We're still here with Miss Linda talking about her book, I Hate My Life. Now, this book is mainly geared towards your son and his life experience being told by you, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so I don't know how I would feel about my mom telling my life. How did your son feel?
He wasn't particular about it at all.
Okay.
Mom, why are you sharing our personal life with strangers? And I told him I'm trying to help other families so they don't go through what we're going through.
Yeah.
This is very unfair to any family, and I wanted others to know that if you tolerated this, you're going to be miserable, and it could be fatal, so don't do it. Yeah, so he still didn't understand it until later,
Yeah.
and then he understood why I'm trying to help other people, that's all.
Okay. I know, like, we're reading your book, and one of your chapters called The Teenage Years, and you start getting into all the mischievous things that your son got into, and one of them, and just like boys made me think of like my brothers and growing up and how bad they were, like little bad things this boys just get into. I don't understand. And I mean, your son, he wound up having these friends, where you're living, and they came up with this elaborate scheme while you was at church one night. Can you please go ahead and talk about that?
Yes, they know that every Wednesday night I go to Bible class, and they would keep him out playing sports so he wouldn't miss it. I wasn't happy about that. This particular night, they decided to order pizza. And when the pizza man come, they had intended on robbing him. But it just so happened, the pizza man didn't have any money with him. So they beat him up for nothing. And of course they ran and thought, that's the end of it.
But it happened in your house.
It happened in my house.
What about when he would take your car? Tell us about those stories.
My brand new car.
Wow.
Brand new car.
I wake up the next morning and I go and the fender is like this.
Oh no.
Who could have done this? So I called the police. They did their investigation. And then they decided to take a sniff around and everything. And unfortunately, there's marijuana.
Yikes.
And one thing led to another, and he was scared.
Oh.
One of the guys talked him into sneaking my keys. And let's go for a joyride. Let's, take this boy for a ride.
Oh.
Spin it around, style, all this kind of thing. And they were so high, they hit a pole.
Oh no.
At that time, my son was probably 14, maybe.
Wow.
13, yeah. Couldn't drive. And so that was something he will never forget.
And I'm sure our viewers would like to know, what kind of car was this?
It was a brand new car. And at that time, I believe it was probably a 2012. I think it was a Camaro. It was gorgeous inside and
best
out.
car.
It was the first brand new car I ever had, too.
So I have a question. I know in especially teenage years, you had a conversation with your son, and you listen, boy, I don't want you doing no drugs, this, and that, and the third. I need you to stay straight and out, And he comes clean and says, "Hey, Mom, I've been doing drugs, but I promise I won't sell it." In that moment, because I have a young son, how did you feel as a mom with, your son telling you, "Hey, Mom, I do drugs"? And
it broke my heart because I had talked to him about it over and over again. Please don't.
Yeah.
And then for him to say, "I'm doing it," oh no, please don't. And he would say, "Well, I'm not going to use the real hard stuff."
Yeah.
Well, to me, it didn't matter. I don't want you doing it, period.
Yeah.
Because I know one thing leads to another.
And it did.
So that broke my heart. And all the talking I did didn't do any good. He was more influenced by older kids and wanting to be accepted. So that was his downfall, really.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know in your book you spoke about, could you say, other kids, and speaking about, you have daughters as well. How was your son's relationship with his sisters? Because I know it spoke about a lot of the abuse that happened to your son, and how you were able to come and, keep your daughters with you at some point, but he was still left behind with his dad.
Yes.
How did that, how was their relationship today?
At times he would get along with them, but for the most part, he pretty much stayed to himself.
Okay.
And with the guys, because they had their own little thing going on. When they got older, they got a little closer.
Wow. And I know you spoke about the anger his dad had. They speak about generational curses, how those things have to be broken. You start to see a lot of the things that were happening with the parent happen in the child, and you're like, oh no, we need to nip this in the bud now. And these were demons that he had to fight, and he's wondering, why am I acting like this, why am I acting like that? And he's all these little components on top of life that are hindering him from being 100% and happy how he would probably want to be. I know more so in your book you were speaking about with your son, where he was saying things such as I feel like I want to kill myself. And when I read that, it's not my child, but I felt like it was almost like my heart dropped in my stomach, to hear one of your children say that to you. I would feel helpless as a parent, as a human being. And I see you try to do everything you can, but in that moment, what was...
It hurt me to my heart. I was holding back the tears.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want him to feel that way and just want to give up. I tried to reach him and console him, but it was just so much commotion going on in the home on a regular basis. It was hard to really turn it around for him. But at the same time, I was happy he confided in me and felt that I cared enough to want to do something. But that's something no parent wants to hear. I want to kill myself, or I hate my life. You never want to hear that. I mean, what do you say when you're caught off guard like that? I hate my life. So that kind of told me I'm not doing a good job here. And I've got to reach him. I want to turn this around as soon as possible.
Absolutely. I know it's like one thing I definitely wanted to make sure that I remember to ask you about. You were talking about times, like, I believe it was Friday nights when weekends would come, how your son would be left alone while the dad went out on dates, and the father would tell him, you can't eat, don't touch this, don't touch that, and you would sit on the phone with your son every time. Can you tell us about that?
Yes. We would talk till 12, 1 o'clock in the morning about whatever he wanted to talk about while his dad was out on a date. And I would be so heartbroken that he's hungry, he's scared to eat because he don't want to get punished. And I just prayed to God to please make this better. I didn't want my son to continue to grow up being unhappy. So I would cry myself to sleep. I had anxiety because it was awful. It was just never ending, and I couldn't seem to fix it.
But you could tell in the book that you were his happy place. So Mama was doing something right. Definitely. But you know, oh my gosh, we got so much more that we have to get through. This book is awesome, Miss Linda. Thank you so much for sharing. But guys, unfortunately, we have to go for another break. I know y'all want to hear some more from Miss Linda, and you're going to. But we're just going to take a quick break, guys.
And now, back to the Let's Meet the Author show.
Now it's time for the best part of the show, Author's Pick. This is where you take a portion of your book and read it to our viewers so they can go ahead and just get more familiar with you and your book.
Okay, sure, thank you.
It's now time for Author's Pick.
I will be reading the conclusion. This is page 36. As I sit in my cell watching my life slowly pass by me, I think about my mom a lot. I remember one day when we were talking, she said I had an anger problem. I always denied it. But now, years later, I can see it clearly. The last time she came to visit, I admitted to her, "You're right, Mom, I do have an anger problem. I get angry very easily. I realize that now. So many times I wish I had a better life, a normal life. So many times I wish I had listened to my mom. I hate my life the way it is now, but I recognize that there are choices within my control that can make things better. I am praying that I get it right when I'm released from prison." The purpose of this book is to let parents, especially young parents, know that it is so important how you treat a child while they are growing up. It's important that you know that fighting in front of a child is very damaging. It promotes a lot of anger, low self-esteem, and fear. It's also damaging to live with an abusive parent. Had my dad not been abusive to my mom, we wouldn't have had to leave our home and go to emergency shelters. My mom would not have been stressed out and unhappy during her pregnancy, which caused me to move around too much and get the umbilical cord wrapped around my neck before I was born. My dad made our whole family miserable. We suffered because of him.
Wow.
What do you say after that?
Yeah, what was your response to your son after he told you all of that?
I started crying. It broke my heart because I saw I was losing him and that it was going to take a lot to bring him around. And I prayed a lot because I didn't want to lose him. I didn't want him to commit suicide. I knew he was very unhappy. And I don't want any of the family to go through this. Nobody deserves to have to live like this.
Yeah. So may I ask, with everything that happened with your son and his relationship with his father and, you know, the broken home, I know he has a beautiful daughter that's seen in the book. How was his relationship with his child or his child's mother?
Loves her. He loves the child very much.
Okay.
He's very proud to be a dad, and he understands more than anyone how important it is to be a good dad. That means the world to him. And this is his chance to show love and have someone that's a part of you and they're happy.
Oh,
So
nice.
he's very good at that. I'm very proud of him for that.
Okay. I just want to ask you, I noticed at the end of each chapter is very important. We saw checklists. Can you explain to us about those different checklists? Like, where did these come about? Were the questions formulated by yourself, or did you pull them from different resources? Or
Actually, I had another relative that's a teenager give me some ideas about concerns that young people have about what they want to do, what they're trying to do, and how important it is to get it right.
Yeah.
And this book is even in some detention centers as well to help with the adolescents, right?
Absolutely. I've been blessed with that. To also have the Pinellas County system purchased a book for male inmates.
Wow.
And I went
That's
in
big.
and read the book to them. We had a discussion. It was great. A lot of them saw themselves in the book.
Yeah.
And one of the things that touched me was when an inmate asked me, "So Miss Mobley, what is a happy family?" That actually broke my heart
Wow.
because maybe he didn't come from a happy home.
Yeah.
And too many of that is happening. And if we had happier, stronger homes, perhaps we wouldn't have so many of our young people incarcerated.
I agree.
Absolutely. So since putting forth your book, I know it's, you know, touched and reached 10,000 copies. So what kind of testimonies, like tell me one of the most impactful testimonies that you've gotten back since putting out this book?
I've had lots of people tell me that it touched their heart. It's an easy read, and they were so glad they read it because it makes them want to be a better parent.
Oh.
So that meant everything to me. I feel that it was worthwhile.
Okay.
And if I can save one child or one family, I've done something good.
Okay. And one interesting thing you said also, you know, it's available for those who don't like to read, but not just like, hey, an audiobook. You actually turned this into a skit.
Yes, I did.
Can you tell us about that?
Yes. It was performed at an event for domestic violence. It was a banquet. It went over very well. The audience was very receptive to it. I got a standing ovation.
Yes.
And of course, I sold a lot of books.
I
Because
bet.
they wanted their own personal copy of it.
Nice.
Wow.
So if you need something for a special program, that's definitely something you want to get.
Wow. I mean, we've seen your
While we're
accommodation.
talking about selling the books, can you tell the viewers where they can purchase your book?
Sure. It's available on my website at childrenlivesmatter.net. And you can also hit me up on Facebook, send me a inbox request, and I'll be more than happy to get the book to you or for speaking engagements as well.
Awesome.
Nice.
Okay. We've seen all those accommodations, Miss Linda Mobley, you know, especially the one we saw Barack You know, Barack Obama, guys, gave his stamp of approval on this book,
Yes.
and he said that it will forever be in his mind.
Forever.
It will forever be in his mind. That's Barack Obama. I mean, we can't give away everything. This is honestly a very good book. So if y'all really want to see everything, y'all have got to get the book.
And what is that again? Children's Lives Matter?
Yes,
.net.
Okay. You know, so what we would love to do, and this is another favorite part of the show, we would love to go ahead and do the author's quote.
Yes.
So, what are you going to hit us with, Miss Linda?
Okay. I think one of the most important things from the book is a statement from my son when he said, "Learn from my mistakes."
We can all learn from our mistakes.
Definitely.
Definitely.
That's true.
Definitely. Well, I'm definitely glad that I was able to read this book. It was very informative.
Thank you.
Just thank you for writing the book for so many viewers.
Yeah.
Oh, is there anything that you have left to say before we dismiss?
I'm just grateful to God for blessing me to get the book out and touch lives, and I'm very proud of it, and I feel I gave back to society by trying to help.
Nice.
But also, make sure you leave it off that you have got the most loving husband out of the deal.
Yes.
You know, you go through turmoil, but there's always light at the end of the tunnel. She has her husband waiting at home right now for her return to say, "Baby, I'm so proud of you. How did it go?"
Yes.
So never give up, guys. Encourage them with that, Miss
That's
Linda.
right. The Lord blessed me with a new husband. I'm very happy. I get treated like a queen. I did not know it was going to happen, but you never know what the Lord has in store.
Definitely.
For you. I'm very grateful. I'm very happy.
Aw.
Nice. And with that, thank you guys for tuning in to Let's Meet the Author. We'll see you next time.
The Let's Meet the Author show is a production of Blue Rock Media Incorporated, in association with Eagle-Eye Videomaker, and is made possible with generous donations by viewers like you.